Marty is a battle-scarred Scrum Master, emerging victorious at the end of a long journey of agile discovery and adaptation. Marty vividly remembers everything from kicking off his first team to the pain of working with 5 teams on the same backlog, then his first encounter with the professor, right down to the launch of the 15th team and the delivery of the system. The professor is the agile coach who taught him how to time travel and how to create his first future team, effecting forward planning as a new way of agile planning at product portfolio level.
How far are you going?
This is based on a real project, a 4 years program of work that started with 1 team and grew to 15 teams, having more than 150 technical and business people delivering a very complex and highly connected system.
What did I tell you? 88 miles per hour!
Thank you. So this is a presentation about agile planning at portfolio level. During this 4 years program of work, lots of challenges. We had a lot of challenges on the cultural side, on the growing side, on the technical side sometimes, but still we will be focusing only on agile planning and not all of those aspects. Those will be the topics on the next presentations at the future ALE sessions. Okay, so how do we start it? All started with the mobilization phase, as all the projects, with a new customer in UK that was new to Agile. Me and my team from Transylvania went there to get to know the customer, to get to know the system. It was brownfield development, so we didn't start everything from scratch. Instead, we were enhancing a system that was already live. We started small with 1 team. We spent like 2 months on site. Everything was cool. I'm still thrilled about the stories. You know, some vampires from Transylvania going to UK, you know the story, right? Actually, it wasn't quite like that, but still wasn't easy. After 2-3 months, we grew from 1 team. We added the 2nd and the 3rd team, and everything was going nice and easy. We had Scrum of Scrums in place, which helped with the coordination of the teams. The customer was very happy, good feedback from the business users, but there was a lot of new features waiting to be implemented, so we need to grow further and further. From 3 teams, by that time we had 3 teams and 2 product owners working together, and we were considering to add additional teams. At that time, when the number of people grew, things weren't so easy as it was in the beginning. We had a great relationship with the customer. We had already 6 teams and 3 product owners. The Scrum of Scrums were not working as it was before. Let's say the meetings were way too long. People got boring. They were saying they didn't saw the value, saying actually it doesn't make sense to do them anymore. I'm not interested in what the other teams were doing. Soon after that, we got out of sync. The teams relearn the same lessons, so they've done the same mistakes. It happened, some implementation was doubled because of the team going out of sync. Still, there was a lot of new features waiting to be implemented. And the time was critical. We were on a big program for 4 years, and the business wanted those features delivered. So we decided to add more teams.
No, Marty, no. This adding more and more teams, no. Let me take you to the alternate future and see what could happen.
You can't interfere with the past, or you might change the future, and the whole space-time continuum will be fakaka. That's it. I'm taking you to the alternate future, so you can see what life would be like. Computer, take us to the year 2015.
Did you say Happy Halloween?
No! Take us to the future, the bad one, where that thing happened.
Did you say sing something?
Oh, forget it. Cover your eyes.
More and more teams, more and more product owners, more and more. Unsync, decision stalling, all of that good things. Marty, just imagine almost all of these things in Agile. Each team is just like a locomotive. Like the product owner decides, well, we are going to go that way. He starts putting tracks together. Here's a team puts tracks. They put the tracks on. They can put the engine, the diesel on. They can decide the speed. They can decide which path they are taking, what speed, where is the station, where to stop. That's fine. One locomotive going that way, one second one going that way, the third one going that way. When there are 3 or 4, that's fine. When there are 5, 10, 20, 15 of those locomotives, you begin kind of crossing roads, you begin kind of having accidents. You need something, you need something of a cohesion. You just can't let all of them decide where to go. You need to start thinking about some of this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds very familiar. It just happened to me. But what to do then? I mean, is there a solution or something?
There is a way. Let me take you back to the future.
Okay.
You should really get a parking pass.
So I guess at about that time we started thinking what to do with this. What are some of the things that are really hurting us? And we stood back and forth and we looked what are some of the key areas in which we are having pains. And we drew up this very nice diagram, which is extremely small and easy to read. What we've seen is that there were basically 4 questions that we needed to ask and answer maybe on a different level. What's to be built, how we build it, how we use it, and when, what, and how much it costs. Those were the key 4 questions that we kind of, all of us stood together and we said, these are the things that are hurting us so much, all of us, and we need to understand them a bit, taking 2 steps back, looking at the portfolio level, not just individually the teams. What's to build is like those great product owners coming together. They were all discussing about the backlogs and everything. But each of them was quite empowered. Each of our product owners was quite empowered. They were talking with the business users. They were putting together a high-level plan. And they were able to take key decisions and set that vision, build those tracks, and the teams will just go that direction. But there were, at some point, 15 of those product owners, 15 of those product owners. We began to have a bit of problems in what directions those tracks were laid. Sometimes they were overlapping a bit. Sometimes they have a bit of problem. Another thing was about how we build it. And all of that good stuff. It's a highly connected system. All of our teams were working on the same code base. All of the things that were happening in there were very connected in terms of the system needed to work together. There were big modules. There were parts of that was built okay, but nonetheless, there were a lot of interaction in there. And again, the product owners were quite empowered. They were standing up with 1 or 2 teams. They were giving up all of those informations. They would do the refinements with the teams, everything like that. Then they will turn aside, and the teams would decide how to build it. sometimes the designs were not quite as compatible. There was a high-level architecture design, but sometimes a team would implement something that another team was implementing, just in a different way. Sometimes a team will implement something that was not compatible later on to integrate. This is not talk about all of those great design patterns. Some of them were into applying some of that object-oriented approach. Some of them were into service-oriented. Some of them decided that web services are best. Some of them decided that an enterprise service bus should be added. For Kaka, it was very nice, a good picture. And when you have all of those teams that can decide and will decide, then it was, how do we deploy the system into production? And it was all of those teams, they were all living in their green happy box. And pretty much talking with the product owner, excellent. We put things together. We are showing you into our UAT environment. We are demoing to you. We are putting all of that great stuff. Look at your features. And in there, teams, 1 or 2 teams that are working with the product owner, everything worked well. But when you took 1 or 2 steps down the line and more features came from other teams, from other groups, we had a world of pain of kind of making it work together. And this question, how we use it together with multiple teams working on the same product, haunted us quite for a while. And then, of course, they all lived in a very nice commercial world, and there were all of these product managers, senior users, development managers that were looking and saying, well, okay, so what do I tell my customers, my end customers? So when are they getting something? When is this big thing is going to work? How much is going to cost me? Is like what? I'm giving you a big bucket of money and you just take from there and you take from there? And what is going on this level? So these 4 questions, we kind of sat down and seen that most of the things that were haunting us were in those areas. So all of the questions over and over and over again were coming into these 4 areas. So what we said is like, well, we need a way in which we can take a bit step back and look at these things, look at these things and take some decisions beforehand. So we created what we're calling this 3 levels: portfolio level, integration level, and team level. Those are not kind of like we put people in that room over there and other people in that room over there and other people in that room over there and they were thinking separately. It was more like people from the same teams working together, but just having some of these questions put in front. So it's that some people from the product ownership, some people from the design team, some people from some of the seniors in each team, they were coming together and saying, okay, so let's think about this at a portfolio level. What's to be built? Well, there are these 7 or 8 features that need to come together, and we have promised our clients that we are going to deliver something in 6 months. So what's the level of integration in between that? What are some of the dependencies in between that? Then another part of it was the integration level. So what are some of these things depend on each other? We need to build this part of the technical solutions. We need to build that part of the technical solution first. It's actually much better to invest in some of the APIs first and to develop some of the features later. Do we have some common things around that? And then also, at the team level, we wanted not to lose that very good agile way of doing things in which the teams themselves takes responsibility for what they build. They understand what's to be built. They estimate themselves. They put everything together. And they still have their estimation put in place, and they are kind of being held to what they are forecasting. So at portfolio level, at integration level, and at team level, we first started to kind of say, okay, you guys meet separately. And they started meeting up almost like once a week, and they were sitting together for a couple of hours and discussing in each these 3 levels. And that worked medium minus. It was okay, but it was building walls in between all of these people. So the product owners were kind of thinking in their world, and then when they chuck stuff over the fence, these guys in there would say, no, this is not going to work, you know? It's like, I'm sorry, but you want the impossible, and you haven't asked us before, and blah, sorry, we cannot integrate these 3 things together. And the teams were going like, well, I'm sorry, it's like you guys now really wanting to do waterfall because you are always thinking ahead, and you are giving me this big thing, and it's like, come on, let's say that we do waterfall, and that's fine. It's what's going on. So what we said is like, well, why build walls? It's like, okay, we have these levels here, but they are all virtual. Let's just have all of these people coming together and have a conversation about these things. With the the focus of kind of looking a bit ahead, addressing some of the product planning parts, some key technical decisions, not everything, what's our just enough in there, some key technical decision, key dependencies in there, what's our just enough, not waterfall, like put everything into place, but what will hurt us. And some of the common impediments is like, what, that team has hit this and the other team has hit that, what can we do to sort problems on a global level, not just individually. So what we wanted to do is actually this team, virtual teams, meet up a couple of times a week for a few hours, and they just live a bit in the future. They go 1 or 2 steps before and kind of say, okay, let's look a bit in the future. Let's define to a high level what are some of the key features that we are going to deliver. Let's think about what are some of the unknowns in there. Let's work together and understand from the team's perspective. Because they were not the product owners that were asking these questions. There were people from the product ownership, people from the design team, people from the teams themselves. And coming together, the teams had the chance to kind of say, okay, you are giving me this epic, but it's not clear. I'm reading through it, and I can interpret this way or that way or the other way. I'm actually recommending you to split this part in here, cut it a bit in there, add a few more details to this part. Or I see that this epic, it's already linked to the other one, and we need to clearly create something of a dependency in between them, and you cannot split them. You cannot put that epic 6 months from now and this epic 2 months from now, just because you are going to lose a lot of money when we are going to integrate. And all of these conversations were happening together in this joint future team. And this team, is not a sort of a taxing experience. They meet, like I said, sort of once a week or twice a week for a few hours. And all of them will just try to get to that level of just enough so that the teams themselves in the planning can live in the present. They live a bit more efficiently in the present. They're still going to do their own refinement. So after this team is kind of preparing a high-level backlog, all of these teams will still do the refinement, but they will be a bit clearer on what they are going to do, each of them. They are going to know when they are going to high-level integrate with each other, and what are some of the key challenges. They will effectively not have so many points of waiting for decisions. It's like, well, you give me that particular problem to solve in that user story. Now I have 3 options. What do I do? And then you go back to these guys and they, okay, let me think about it for a day, for 2 days. And these guys will just stand on there and not do nothing. Just because these guys were asking the questions a bit ahead, those decisions, most of them were already taken, and things were a bit clearer for them. So in the beginning, a bunch of these guys were just a bit reluctant to start doing this, but we started slowly. We started implementing this step by step, and what we've seen is that this future team, if it's really joint, if it's tearing down the walls in between all of that, really worked out very well into asking all these questions together. Features, how do they translate in the architectural runway, how that comes together, and then how we put it together in production and some of the integration problems, and then the teams taken off and divided and put it down, and we can answer how much it costs and when and all of that good stuff.
Yeah, this looks really, really fun and interesting. Still, I think it's a little bit too theoretical for me now. So let me have my teams give it a reality check and see if we can implement it. Okay, so we had this planning period in which we designed the planning and we started to give it a try. Let's say that it wasn't a big success from day one. People started to complain. There were too many meetings. I mean, we are just adding another meeting, and they were just wanted to code. They don't want to go to too many meetings, and some of the people moved away from in-team activities, or at least this is what we asked them to do. And they still wanted to code, and those design leads now or started to think more about the bigger picture than the actual code implementation. And then the team, the developers from each team cried for help and said, but no, you need to be with us. What do you mean you are living in the future? I mean, come here and help us with this technical issue. We don't know what to do it. Also the business, it was a challenge to the business to prepare all the features at the right level for the planning session. So but they see value, and slowly we started to make it work, and this helped us to move away from the challenge of not being able to add more teams up until we grew to 10 teams and then to 15 teams. So we started to talk in terms of streams, value streams, and epics, and portfolio program planning, sprint planning, so multiple levels of planning. People started to understand these concepts, and each team, they knew their small implementation is part of a bigger program of work which were delivering value, and the architectural path was clearer, runaway was clearer, and let's say there was a lot easier to add additional teams after we move on from this pain. People now are seeing this as given, and they could not even think about using something else to work on such a complex program of work. So we see the forward planning really working in a real life example in a project, and some people are living in the future, a little bit in the future, so that the others can be much more effective in the present.
So guys, this is pretty much what we wanted to share with you today. And if you have any questions, I guess I just wanted to wear my hair today. So I've been wearing it for more like 4 years.